Joining me today is David Brooks of the Concord Monitor. He writes as the Granite Geek. And one of the things in your blog that sort of interests me, a recent post, dealt with how Maine is going to elect certain positions now. And I actually started thinking about this in the race at the Seacoast. In CD1. Mm-hmm. I thought, you know, the winner of CD1 won't get a majority.
The winner of none of the statewide races got a majority.
So will we get a runoff system, or is it just the person who is, you know, who gets the majority of the vote but less than half of the citizens voting wins? But Maine's sort of taken it a completely different level with something that reminds me of the college football ranking polls.
To an extent, yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about what Maine's done, how they're electing their people, and does this make sense mathematically? I'm sure it does, but sort of the intersection of math and politics. Sure. Again, I know politics is not your favorite subject.
The mechanism's okay. It's just not the people. So I got to say, first of all, this is an idea. It's called alternative voting methods. There's a number of them. This is an idea that's been floated in New Hampshire a number of times. There's been several efforts to get it, in some as recently as this last legislative session, to get it at least studied in the state. And so basically what this says is, instead of electing by our first past the post, which is, you know,
vote for this person or this person,
you get to vote for one person no matter how many are on the ballot, and the person who gets the most of those votes wins, even if they only get, you know, 20% of the total, because there were a lot of candidates. That system, which you and I think of as, you know, the normal way to elect things. There are a number of people say that is flawed, and particularly when there's multiple candidates, that it can encourage extreme candidates, because if there's a lot of people running, all you need to do is to appeal to a fairly small subset, and you'll still win.
And get them to not vote for anybody else.
Right, exactly. As long as you have a hard core of advocates, right, they won't. Yeah. Right. Whereas everybody else will divide up the vote. So that's the argument. So these alternative voting systems basically allow voters, us as voters in the polling place, to vote for more than one candidate. And there's a couple different ways to do it. There's ranked choice voting, there's appeal voting, there's a couple others. But basically, you get to vote for more than one in different ways, and that vote is calculated as a way to choose a winner. So what Maine has just approved, so there was a statewide ballot initiative that passed.
And by the way, it was like yes or no, just two choices.
That's right. It was a ballot.
No ranking.
No, it was
like maybe I'll study it. And
no, this was definitely let's do it. It was going out to the people, and it passed because of huge support, by the way, in the state's southern section next to New Hampshire. So what it says is that for statewide races, so for Congress and Senate and governor, I think that's it. Anyway, but not for local races, so not for your selectmen and stuff. Your ballot will list everybody who's running, and you will have the opportunity to give them a ranking of between, if there's 10 candidates running, you can rank them. This is my first choice, this guy's my second choice, she's my third choice, she's my fourth choice, and I don't care about the rest, or you can give choices all of them. So it'll be a big complicated ballot, so it's like a big grid. And if nobody gets a majority, more than 50% of the first choice ballots, then they go through a system. Basically, they toss out the lowest person, recalculate. If nobody gets a majority the second time around, they toss out the lowest person again. The next lowest person recalculates.
So people are going to get voted off the island slowly?
People are going to get slowly voted off the island. And the idea for that is that you can't be an extreme candidate anymore, because some people will hate you so much they'll rank you number 10, and therefore you'll get voted off the island. So the idea is that by doing this, it forces candidates to appeal to a wider swath of the electorate, because they're not only looking for supporters, they also want to make sure they don't have detractors.
Right. Okay. And not my first choice, but a lot of people's second choice.
A lot of people's second choice.
Could somebody who never got a first choice, but was everybody's second choice win?
Eventually, yes, it's possible. And so, and by the way, this doesn't kick in until the primary in 2018 is the first election it will go into effect.
So they got some time to
They got
figure
some
out
time.
the mechanism.
It turns out it's not all that hard. They use an optical reader for ballots, just like we do in New Hampshire, and you have to make a software tweak. If there is going to be one of these instant runoffs, they call it, it actually will be, the software data will be taken to a central location and it'll be calculated there. So it's not done by your town clerk right there on the night of election.
Well, that's good, because our town clerk in
Now.
my town would be, they stay up till midnight anyway.
Absolutely.
They would not want to be going through to 4 o'clock in the morning.
That was one of the things you had to come up. That was exactly one of the issues they had to deal with. Is that you're exactly right. These guys, these women who aren't paid diddly squad.
Well, and it's a whole team. It's a group of volunteers in these small towns.
Oh yeah. So it will be interesting to see what happens and to see whether this is the first time this has been adopted statewide. There's some cities that do it, including Portland, Maine does it. Burlington did it. Burlington, Vermont did it for a while, and they actually tossed it out because people got mad at the result one year. So it's been floating around, and geeks love this stuff. They think it's so cool that you can manipulate the algorithm of elections and possibly turn messy human behavior into something clean and sensible.
And then we'll get to watch Maine for a while.
Yeah, we'll get to so it's cool. I mean, this is how America works. The states are an experiment. This is an interesting experiment.
Well, thanks. When we return, we're going to continue our conversation. So please stay with us.